Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to yet another book haul. Yes, I know the last one, the August book haul, is only a week or so ago that I filmed that one, and this one is early for September. But I don't want to, let the books accumulate that much because then. So there might be two book haul videos in September. You never know. And the second one is, if you're following my videos religiously, which you all do, of course, and looking at the blouse, this is not the book haul blouse that I was wearing in July and August for the book hauls. I was ill prepared because the book haul blouse is in the wash. So we will have to do with this one. Anyway, let's get on to the books. The first two books I bought are in preparation of Hispanic Heritage Month, which will start on the 15th of December, the 15th of September, and will run until mid-October. And the first one is NonFiction, Grieving by Cristina Rivera Garza, translated from the Spanish by Sarah Booker. This English translation was published last year, 2020, and a big portion of the Spanish originals was published in 2011. Cristina Rivera Garza is a Mexican author who writes obviously in Spanish, but also teaches in the US. And I said in my Friday reads about the Caribbean authors that I have, that are white spots because I haven't read some Caribbean countries. I haven't read any author. Well, Mexico also quite a non-read spot for me. So I thought this is a good opportunity. Even though it's nonfiction, but maybe I can pick up her fiction as well, because it turns out that she is one of the most prominent contemporary Mexican writers and has won like 5 or 6 of the main Mexican literary awards. Yeah, there you can see. I've never heard of her, so that's really shameful. Anyway, this is a collection of shorter essays, contemplations about Mexico, dispatches from a wounded country. And I will be buddy reading this. Probably we start, I guess, still in September with Heidi from My Reading Life. Really looking forward to that buddy read. And now somebody is using a drill, so I will have to stop here. They are now hammering. So I guess that means the drilling is over. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. It's the upstairs neighbors, by the way. Anyway, the second book I bought specifically for Hispanic Heritage Month is also nonfiction, a debut collection, Paola Ramos, Finding Latinx, published last year, end of 2020. I came across this book while, researching Latinx authors, books that I might want to read for Hispanic Heritage Month. And Paola Ramos is an American Latinx author, and this is what it says, Finding Latinx. She travels through the US in search of what it means to be a Latina or Latino. And that sounded like something that I would want to read, but also something educational for me, because I know not that much about Latinx culture. I mean, I watch Roxanne from the novel Sanctuary, but that's not enough in order to be, somewhat informed about Latinx culture. So this is the second one that I bought for Hispanic Heritage Month. And then, because there are two, those are both nonfiction, I will probably also look at 1 or 2 fiction books that I will then read probably in October, because I also want to read some Latinx fiction. The next book I bought also for pleasure and educational purposes is from an American Palestinian poet and author, Hala Alian, Salt Houses, published in 2017. If you remember, I read for Women in Translation month in August, I also read a Palestinian author, Adania Shibli, Minor Details. And I thought, Palestinian experience is also not something that I have read that much. And then I remembered this book, published 4 years ago. It is about a Palestinian family living first in Nablus, but then first in Jaffa and then in Nablus, and then they immigrate to Kuwait, and then from there they have to immigrate again, scattered all over the globe, which is, I think, an inherent experience of many Palestinian people. So this one was the first one that crossed my mind, and I bought it in order to read about a family of multiple generations from their life in Jaffa, Nablus, and Kuwait, and then from there onwards. Then the next book is NonFiction, also one of my most anticipated releases in 2021, and that is Janet Winterson, 12 Bites. A book about artificial intelligence. And if you follow my channel, you know that I really like Janet Winterson's work. She writes mostly fiction. I love her. Quirkiness is not the right word, but she has a very unusual approach often in fiction, unusual characters, but there are certain topics that are really occupying her mind, obviously. And one of them, if you look at her more recent fiction, let's say the last 5 years or so, or maybe even the last 10 years, is artificial intelligence. And she finally wrote an essay collection about that. So there you go, 12 Bites by Janet Winterson. Then another most anticipated release from August, actually, so really new, and that is Pat Barker, Women of Troy. Pat Barker is an author from Yorkshire. She was born in 1945, and this is the second book in a series about the Trojan War from female perspective. The first one was called Silence of the Girls, which I thought was really good. Pat Barker I knew from her Regeneration trilogy, books about the First World War, and in my opinion, one of the best books about the war experience. She really can write about the war, that's for sure. So the Trojan War is a departure from her usual stories, in the sense that it's, set in mythological Greece, but it's about war. And this time from the female perspective, like I said. And this book, The Women of Troy, will pick up, as far as I understood, right where Silence of the Girls ended. So the Silence of the Girls was still during the war partly, and then towards the end of the war, and now the war has definitely ended, and we follow the life of a couple of Trojan women after the war. And I love retellings if they are well done. I know there have been quite a lot recently, especially, Greek mythology from Circe and the Song of Achilles, and then the Pat Barker, The 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. But I like them. If they're well done, I like them. Might be not something for you. If you are not into retellings, then this definitely might not a book for you. But if you like me and you like retellings, you should, I think, probably start with the first one, even though I understood that you can read the books separately. The next two books are one of the reasons why I really like going to bookstores. I mean, I'm happy that during the pandemic and the lockdown, when at least here in Germany bookstores were closed, you had the internet to buy books, because otherwise I probably would have died if I had to live without buying books or getting books somewhere for 18 months. That wouldn't have been pretty, no. But still, a bookstore what I there always like is that whenever I go into a bookstore, even if I have a list of books that I really, yes, it's warm, really want to buy, I always find something either that I had never heard of or something that I hadn't thought of. And the final two books in the BookHaul are one in each category. And the first one is a book that I hadn't thought of in a long time to buy, and that is Toni Morrison, Beloved. It's one of the Toni Morrisons that I haven't read yet, and I need to check when it was published, 1987. Yep, I had to stop again. More drilling. Anyway, so published in 1987. That was the last thing I said. And of course, Toni Morrison, Nobel Prize winner, passed away recently, not that long ago. A huge body of work, and my relationship, if you follow my channel, with the work of Toni Morrison is a bit not sure yet. I really thought Song of Solomon was excellent. I really liked that book. Tar Baby didn't really do it for me. Sula didn't really do it for me. I mean, not bad, but I just didn't love them. I absolutely disliked God Help the Child. Is that the right title? Sorry, God Help the Child. Yes, I thought that was a really anti-feminist crap. And I don't like saying crap in connection with Toni Morrison, but that's how I felt. But I'm still trying. And Beloved is one of her most well-known books that I haven't read yet. Set in the mid-1800s, following a woman, a former slave who lived in Kentucky on a plantation as a slave and then escaped to Ohio. But there is still the haunting of Beloved, and understand is her dead baby girl. And on the tombstone, it says Beloved. So I will give Toni Morrison another try, and then we will see. Let me know if you have read Beloved and whether you liked it or not, and whether you maybe also struggle with other books, or in general with books by Toni Morrison. And the second book and final book in the BookHaul is a book, like I said, that I picked up just because it spoke to me, the cover spoke to me, a book that I've never heard of, and that is You People by Nikita Lalvani, published last year. I didn't know the author, Nikita Lalvani. This is not her debut. She published books before. She was born in India in 1973, but brought up in Wales. And this book is set in London, and it's mainly set, I just have that from the blurb on the back. It's set in an Italian restaurant called Vesuvio, and you have the restaurant's owner, Chuli. He runs a mysterious operation that promises to help anyone in need, including the illegal immigrants who run the kitchen. 19-year-old Nia turns to Chuli after running away from her family in Wales, and Shan, having fled the Sri Lankan civil war, is desperate to find his. That sounded interesting, engaging. I'm always into discovering new authors. So saw the book, looked at the blurb, read one page, and bought it. Published last year. Yeah. So anyway, these are my, I think, 7 books that I bought most recently. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've liked it. Let me know whether you have read, if they're a little older, or are planning to read any of the books that I hauled, or tell me about your recent acquired books. And I'm looking forward to your comments. As always, you know that, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.